pudding snacks.
What it do, Snackers, Snackettes, Snack X's? It's your boy Gage. I'm here with Sending Jokes, and it is time for another episode of Spoiler Boys.
Spoiler Boys.
That's right. Get loud with it.
Sure.
We are here to spoil the 4th episode of Ahsoka, named Fallen Jedi. Let's get some scores. Jokes.
I'm at an 8.
Sin.
I'm at an 8. I could easily be pushed to a 9 though.
I'm at an 8. Why do you say you could be pushed to a 9, Sin?
I just really enjoyed the episode. I enjoyed the action sequences in it. You know, that level of dread put in it with the title, just like the anticipation. Okay, Fallen Jedi, who's gonna fall? You know, all that type of stuff going through it. I just really enjoyed the episode.
Yeah, you seem to have a soft spot for this series, for this show. Let's talk about that a little bit.
I just so far I'm enjoying it. I definitely enjoyed it way more than Andor, way more than Boba Fett. Like so far, like visually, I might like it visually the most out of all of them so far. I think that's one thing that I really enjoy about it. But so far it's hitting for me. It still seems to be more about both of them than just Ahsoka, like we talked about like in the beginning. But even with that, I'm still having a good time with it. But maybe after this episode and how it ended, maybe it'll start to push more in Ahsoka's like lead direction. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean a little bit and say it hasn't really been any sand in this show.
No, thank goodness. Can we get away from sand for a while?
Knock on wood. You got to go to Tatooine at some point. You better stop.
It's just been sand upon more sand.
Just saying.
You have a good point.
Just saying. I think that might be it.
True.
Visually, I'm really enjoying this. Oh, no sand.
No sand.
No sand. Get away from
that.
That
Was your
please.
biggest complaint, I think. Like leaving, you were just like,
yeah, just keep going back to Tatooine until like all the time. Just with to start the movies, always need to see a reason to go back to more sand. Boba Fett, sand. Mandalorian, sand. Like, come on, this is vast universe. Let's get away from the desert for a while. That's all I'm saying. It's just overdone.
100%. 100%, and it is still happening. Still happening.
We'll find sand at some point.
Jokes, why an 8? Everything has been solid. Storytelling, I think, has been fluid. I haven't really seen any inconsistencies. Like, I just think this has been, as of now, up to this point, things have just been very fluid. I know, same conversation, it's now starting to lean maybe a little towards the Ahsoka title that's on there for it. But I mean, to kind of get her story, I feel like some of those other pieces needed to be put in place to move things right along with it. I've enjoyed a lot of the characters. I feel like we've gotten to experience and know some of these characters, at least in the instance of the show. We don't know some backgrounds of some characters fully as of yet, but I think they've done a good job of at least giving us enough to understand and maybe know some motivations of the characters. I don't think anybody has necessarily gotten sat on the back burner and just left there as of now. So I think they've done a good job of just making this whole entire thing meld very well together.
I would agree. I think that the vision, if you will, of this series has been more clear from episode to episode. Um, it just this like the idea of not knowing exactly where it's going or what's happening. One, I think is more exciting, and two, it feel the episodes so far feel more cohesive. More like Dave Filoni wrote this whole thing and was like, this is what it is, and this is how it needs to line up. And it does feel more like watching episodes of Rebels. I think. So this episode is much more ominous than previous episodes. The entire episode is dark. Which is, at first I thought it was like, all right, it's night. But now I'm like, no, it's a storm coming. Because at the end of the last episode when they landed, it was sunny. Like it was bright.
Daytime, yeah. Well, you can see the sky at least,
Yeah, when they come out of the ship on this episode, it's dark, and it just seems like, all right, it's nighttime, which again, like, we're on a planet somewhere else, like who knows what the day-night cycle is like, but it's so light outside that it doesn't seem like this ain't moonlight. You know what I mean? Like this isn't. So I just think that the tone is set in the very beginning, and it stays that way. It stays dark the entire time. We get some really dope shots of Sabine, like, gearing up. You know what I mean? Like, let's get ready to battle. And so something, it's gonna be one.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? We know where they are.
And we know who's coming for them.
And then they mess around and tell us who's coming for them. Which, seemed a little odd. Like when when Balin, when the report gets back to Balin, like, we found them. After we get that kind of ominous thing in the forest with Ahsoka, like, kind of staring into the trees, like something out here, like it's kind of getting ready to go down. And she says, like, be careful out here. You know what I mean? Like, it's something out here. When she gets ready to go back into the ship, you already know it's gonna be something. But then you see the little movement behind the trees.
We're like, all right, they got their eye on them. Okay.
But when Balin's like, all right, well, send everybody in, and it's like, Morgan's like, nah, that ain't going. That's not
enough. That's not enough.
Yeah, my man's like,
shit.
Yeah, but
too.
You will be. Yo, the smile on her face.
Yeah.
I get to finish what I started.
She is so ready.
I will finish.
She's so ready, and that I appreciate. You know what I mean about her as a villain. She was like, "Oh, I'm going up in here. We about to really do this." I was a little surprised when that initial attack starts, and they weren't already there. But my man was out there giving them.
We ain't got hands. That dude got some boxing hands.
That baby sit up on the couch. Hey, hold up.
I wasn't expecting that at all. Don't
hold his own out here with the hands. Do a
I'm
second
gonna ask a
combo.
And
question.
listen, my man was yelling for help. He was about to break out, but that help ain't for you though.
Bruh. Them little extra.
Arms.
My man had a little. All right. Let's you know what I mean? Like it's a little General Grievous in here with these extra arms. Let's get it in. And we talked about that once already. The little boxing arms came out his back, started handling Slim Face real quick.
Make.
Did anybody else find it a little weird that the droid he was fighting covered his mouth?
I said
And that
that.
it worked.
I was like, oh, okay. So the speaker clearly is in the mouth, I guess, like a regular human would be. And the fact that it actually muffled when he did that, Joe, I was like,
Was weird. It was weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just some about it, and it just seemed like, I don't know, it was weird. Like it felt like a violation though to have like a droid
Such a
cover
another
droid's mouth. Like hold up. This just between us for a second. But it also, I don't know, it added like a creepy element to it that like I just don't feel like I've ever really seen before in droids.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? Like there were moments in the last show where like, you know, they're in Mandalorian where they're dealing with droids where, you know, the droids are like going to the bar, just trying to have like, you know, it's still weird, bro. Like it's still a little weird that like the droids do kind of have this life.
Yeah.
That's, and you know, that joint really came to be a silent assassin, and it was like a lot of them, and I don't understand why like 3 of them didn't just run up on him, but I guess because they assumed
he didn't have no hands.
He ain't had no hands. He's just a protocol droid. He ain't gonna have to worry about nothing.
Man, he got some learning real quick.
Yeah, it was cool.
I'm thinking that speak proper. You know what I mean? And I'm out here just working on ships and stuff that I can't, you know, put some pause on you.
Listen, when them lights went out, Sabine was like, that droid messed up my work.
Nope.
Okay, all that trust. No, he
Not
wouldn't.
him.
Put the blades right out. Like, let's go to work.
Let's get it popping.
Sure enough, came outside. It was popping.
All right. So action time. We come out. Let's do a little work. How we feel about this moment of like Master and Padawan coming out, doing their thing. Right in that moment when it was necessary. My personal opinion is it felt good to see them. Just seemed like they were so in tune,
in tandem with each other, and it was
in that moment, like letting Sabine do what Sabine does, while Ahsoka does what Ahsoka does.
I really appreciated that. Like,
yeah.
it wasn't like the Jedi Master and the Padawan together, because she's still trying to get her groove. That she just went back into full Mandalorian mode. And they were just working so well together. It was so dope to see. I was like, okay, I'm really digging this right here. We're gonna get there, Sabine, with your Jedi stuff. But
we're gonna get to that side, but
right now, just do what you do. And
Are we, Sin?
I think she'll get there eventually. I don't know if it's gonna be within this show, but I think she'll get there eventually. She'll go through something to finally help her tap into the Force and really start to like really get her training on at some point. Maybe she goes through something traumatic. Maybe, like you said, Hera or somebody gets killed that, you know, is able to push her there. But I think she will get there at some point. But for now, she has her Mandalorian training to fall back on. So,
yeah, just the tandem fighting. Like you could see, when Sabine was getting ready to be shot by one of the droids, and Ahsoka just used the Force, moved the one droid over to take the shots, and then Sabine hit the Scorpion, get over here, jump. Like you can see, like the keeping each other's backs was in on this. So I thought that was fine. Were you going to say, I don't know. I feel like because she's being trained differently, maybe it won't necessarily be she'll be the typical Force type user. Maybe there'll be some other type of thing that she'll inherit, whether it be like a sixth sense or like a spider sense type of thing. Maybe she will be well versed in battle where she can pick up on certain things, but maybe she never actually wields the full Force. Could be. Obviously she's a solid fighter. She's got that side down. Using the lightsaber, patience isn't necessarily there. So Ahsoka's like, you got to be careful, because without that patience, you get overly eager, and that opens up those blind spots to you. But either way, the fight with the two of them, they got in, they both did what they're good at doing.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to line things up, because right before this, they're having a conversation, and Ahsoka is really seeming to lay out that she doesn't quite trust Sabine yet. And she is basically asking her, like, can I trust you? Like, when it's time to do what has to be done, are you going to do the right thing? And I need you to understand that, like, if we can't get control of this map, we got to shut it down. And that means we might have to lose access to Ezra when that time comes. Can I trust you? And Sabine lied, boy.
Yeah. I'm thinking I think she meant it in that moment, but when the time came down, she could not go through with it. You hurt me, Sabine.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, man. I don't think Sabine is meant to be a Jedi. I don't think she's ever gonna be a Jedi. It just is. There's a part of me that feels like for Sabine to become a Jedi would be detrimental to all of what she already has done and already has been. I think that her status, look, for most people who are watching this, they never heard of her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the history that she has and who she is and what kind of skills she has, the drama that she's been through as a character, people have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
They have no idea. And I'm not sure that Ahsoka having a Padawan is really a thing that's meant to be. She turned down probably the greatest opportunity to have a Padawan that there ever would be in Grogu.
Mm-hmm.
And she walked away from the Order. She's already walked away from, training Sabine once, which is a thing we didn't see.
Right.
But I feel like we're getting ready to. And so we also don't really know exactly what that history is and what that really looked like. And why that happened. What we do know is that this is supposed to be, Ahsoka's name is the title of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And this is supposed to be more about her. And I don't think that it's necessarily about her turning someone into a Jedi who... I don't know that Sabine really wants to be a Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sabine thinks she has to be a Jedi in order to do what the mission is that they're on.
Mm-hmm.
I think she had been pushed sort of into that life, but I don't really think she wants. I think she wants to be Force sensitive. I don't know that she wants to be a Jedi. I think that her natural instincts are with blasters. You know what I mean? And with her hands, and they're not.
The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I think that's more of where she lies, and that's where her comfortability is. Although she did try to, I don't know, force fart at Shorty in this fight.
No, I saw that. I was just like, oh no. It was like, I don't know why. There was no sense of why that would have worked in that instance, other than the fact that, your life was in danger or something like that. But to me, that just wasn't the moment where that was going to be a thing.
I mean, look, it's so different from. Let's take some steps here. When they clear the forest initially of the first threat, and then they decide, like, we got to go out here. We already know they coming. Let's just, you know what I mean? Let's just go. Let's
face them head on.
Not going back in. There's no more getting ready. We in these trees. Now, Hu Yang says the most important thing of the entire episode.
And we already know how that's gonna go. Yep.
The moment he said it, you knew.
Yeah, I was like, okay. Yep.
They didn't even look like they meant it when they told him.
Not at all. That dismissive type of answer. It was like, oh, they're already prepping to split from each other.
And so we get to that point in the show when they do split, I'm like, all right, here we go. Which one of y'all is about to eat it? Just on eggshells after that.
So they making their moves, and I'll say I do think there was an intent to stay together, because just as a Jedi, I have to, like, Ahsoka should be able to dust Sabine. Sabine should have been so far behind her that she was really trying to get. But again, they running and they don't know where they going.
Right.
They just running through the woods. That's probably my biggest issue with this episode. Is they take off in the woods and it's like, where y'all going?
I'm thinking maybe
y'all weren't there when they showed up.
I think maybe Ahsoka felt Balin, like, just force sensitive type of stuff, and kind of let me go in that direction where he was.
I feel like she would say something earlier on, the fact that to known that, oh, they're here over in yonder direction, but nah, that was put them down. Just run that way.
Yeah, her force sensing Balin, I could maybe, if she had at some point earlier in the episode been like, we know they over there somewhere, like, I can feel it. Like, all they had to do was give me that, and I'd have been like, all right, you know what I mean? But they also ran directly into the battle. Like, I don't know. That's my only issue with this episode, is they just like, let's go in the woods. Okay. And they just start running. But this battle right here, in the woods, Sabine and Ahsoka are separate already. They're separate the moment the battle starts. And I was like, that's a wrap. It's already over already. And Ahsoka's battle with Merrick was like, again, so kind of, this is such a different Ahsoka. She's so grown. She just is more methodical. It's more like, slow down, take a minute. I know she's having a battle over here. Here's the thing. If you have the history of Rebels and Clone Wars in your head, she's dusted Inquisitors
easily.
Before, like, it's not like I understand that for the purposes of this show, Slim's supposed to be a threat because we don't know who he is.
Right.
Where did this dude come from? How, you know what I mean? But nah, she's gonna clean Slim's clock. Plus, it's the fourth episode. Like,
Yeah.
She fought when she fought him the first time. It almost felt to me like she was just kind of warming up. Like she was like, all right, look, you holding me from where I'm trying to go right now.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a part of me that feels like she could have just force grabbed him and chucked him off to the side of something and kept going.
And done. Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, second they slowed down that fight and he started doing a little spinning blade thing. I was like, oh, you done. I was like, oh,
it's a wrap.
Yeah, she coming right through that. Yeah, sure enough. Like, yeah.
Hey, dog, when she put her hands in that overhand chop position.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this fight's over.
What I wasn't expecting was for this dude's magic dust
to come flying up out of him.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, you was already dead. Morgan made a little ghost joint out here. Like, it makes me wonder, like, who was the dead Inquisitor or whoever it was that they made this dude after for it? Because clearly, that dude was dead, had been dead already.
He was just walking with the force.
He hit that little extra, like that crunch. Like once he was like that, the scar was there, and I was like, ooh. I was like,
so nasty. It was a little weird. Like, Force Zombies is, not brand new, and the sisters, the Dathomir witches can do some things like that. I mean, they put Darth Maul back together, so
everything's possible.
But that was probably the most unexpected thing for me. This entire joint. That was a joint that made me, like, you sat up earlier, so I'm like, oh, we not even real. We not even we fighting zombies out here.
No wonder you had the helmet on. No wonder you had the helmet on. You was trying to keep all your insides inside. That's why you had
his force dust.
That's why you had a helmet on, so we wouldn't know.
Nasty.
But it talked.
Yeah, he did.
Yes,
the dust rubbing together, making words.
He was a ghost, but he was a person. He was a ghost being. I would say that if he outside of that suit, he would have just been looked like a zombie, I guess. I don't know. I know my man Green Dust came flying out of that thing, and I was like, oh, okay.
Ooh, okay.
This is different. So the rules are different here. Let's start there. And at that point, Sabine is in the middle of her battle and says the wrong words.
Go on ahead.
I got this. Now, here's what's interesting about that to me. I feel like Ahsoka knew she ain't have it. I feel like Ahsoka was like, she don't have this. But they had that conversation about her trusting her. And I feel like that conversation they had where, because to me, Ahsoka leaving was against her better judgment. She didn't want to leave her. She knew that by leaving her, there was a very, very high chance that Sabine was not going to survive that fight. She already didn't survive a fight with this same person. But they had that conversation about when the time comes, can you make the tough decision? This is what the mission is. Like, we have to stop this. So when Sabine says to her, you got to go get that map, like, for Ahsoka, that same decision that she was calling upon Sabine to make, hey, we might have to shut this whole thing down and lose Ezra. Like, we might have to do that. That's the tough decisions that we might have to make. This is where we are right now.
Right.
And her asking, because she trusts her, and her saying yes, that trust had to go both ways. And it meant to me that Ahsoka was also saying, I might have to lose you in this too, right? Because there's a bigger picture. The bigger picture is not allowing Thrawn to return.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that moment, the hesitation that Ahsoka has is geared to me towards, I know this is probably not going to end well for you, Sabine. I understand that you might be sacrificing yourself right now for the greater good. I have to leave you so that I can go do the thing that is the bigger picture right now.
Mhm.
So she left her. Because otherwise, I think the two of them would have, to be honest, I feel like they were mollywopping and they went on the road
100%.
quick.
100%.
There we go, son.
100. Like, just she's right there.
Listen,
jump
at
her
that point,
and get moving. Like,
Sabine could have put the saber up, let Ahsoka come in and do the saber work, and Sabine just out here with the guns. And listen,
just like they did at the beginning.
And Shin wouldn't probably known what to do at that point. Not to mention, hey, listen, the armor and actually being able to stop the lightsaber. It's like, I was like, okay, you don't necessarily need the saber. You could just be out here getting your Wonder Woman on blocking lightsaber shots.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that. We're not doing that. We're not giving her Wonder Woman, dog. Stop it. That's enough of that. Yeah, I mean, she has Mandalorian armor. I mean, again, you have to remember that with her as a Mandalorian armor was specifically designed and created to be able to fight Jedi. All of their weapons and the tools that they have were designed for that reason. So her getting bested in a sword fight by someone who's really is much more well trained with a sword than her makes sense. There was no part of me that felt like if Sabine had overpowered her using a lightsaber, I'd been like, I'm out. This show's corny. I'm done. Can't do it. She went back to what her natural instincts were, which has always been the thing that has kept Sabine from being able to be a Jedi. Her mind is not in tune with she does not have the ability to be the kind of calm that is a Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. She can't find the calm that would allow her to use the Force the way a Jedi does. Sabine has fear and anger.
Mm-hmm.
She is much more in line with a Sith.
Mm-hmm.
Much more in line with a Sith
mm-hmm.
than she is in any way with a Jedi. And if she really learns to use the Force, I couldn't see her being a Jedi. Now, again, we might be going into some new canon territory as far as gray Jedi, those that kind of walk the line, which is already where Baylan and Shin seem to be. Because they're not Sith.
Right.
They are not pulling from the dark side of the Force to do what it is that they do. That's what separates them from what the Sith are.
Yeah, because at this point, they wanted to.
Baylan even shows fear of the magic that Morgan uses.
Yeah.
Because that's dark. That's pulling from the dark side of the Force in order to do it. And he seems very, very weary of that. So it's a super interesting thing. And again, to me right now, Jedi are way more interesting again than they have been in probably 2 decades. Because at least for everything in television, film, animation, Jedi have just been Jedi. The way that Jedi have been trained and, whatever. And so it's all basically been the same, other than the fact that you get these touches of there are Jedi who can use the Force in ways that other Jedi can't. Like how Ahsoka can go to a place and like Force remember things or whatever, right? She can Force CSI. And not everybody can do that, right? Some people can Force heal. Not everybody can do that. So to kind of analyze what's happening in this moment, in this battle, where in a last ditch effort to save her own skin when this might be it. It was really interesting to see Sabine go to a force push.
Mm-hmm.
And it was enough to throw her off, but to hear Shin just be like, "You
She
ain't got no power."
her face, like her face when she like, you don't have no powers. I was like,
And it was almost like if a child slapped you.
Yeah.
But did she
trying to
just try
slap me.
Cause she clearly felt it. Like she felt it. It turned her. You know what I mean? She had to turn back.
Like a little gust of wind. Like, ooh.
Yeah. Like, hold up.
Sabine said,
"Did you just try to push me?"
That. Yes.
Is that what that was? Oh, you
And
are
just
done.
snap. Oh, you ain't got no power. I'm about to
I'm about to
whop you. I'm about to whop you. But then good old Mandalorian trickery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's where her strength lies.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ahsoka does get to where Balin is. Which again, we don't know how she knows where he is, but whatever. Ahsoka gets to where Balin is. It's kind of calm, ominous. She steps forward. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna have some words. And I appreciated this for a second. Very, very like Seven Samurai. Very like Western. We're gonna have a duel. Speak your piece for a minute. Let me talk a little something. Balin immediately starts throwing jabs at her entire psyche.
Mm-hmm.
Hold up, Slim. You just gonna bring out
Anakin.
gonna bring up my master name? You don't know me. Balin is a threat. He weak though, but he was a threat. He's weak.
Oh, he is.
His entire fighting style, I'm just like, hey, don't dust this dude.
He has like the precision. Like I get there's like that precision in there, but maybe because his old age, he just doesn't. He can't execute the same way he used to. I don't know.
Hey, he does what he needs to do to get the job done.
He has like basketball fundamentals. Like he has like the fundamentals.
Jedi
like,
fundamentals.
No flash. Yeah. He got fundamentals.
Don't move the wrist too much, because just the ever smooth flow with it.
Just get the job done. Don't need to be flashy with it. Just
Just, I'm coming to get you.
This has worked for me for years.
Left, right,
clearly,
left, right, up, down.
Yeah.
But to have him say Anakin spoke very highly of you, which we saw in trailers.
Mm-hmm.
But then they kind of cleared it up. Like it doesn't necessarily show that he didn't necessarily have a relationship with Anakin. But he's like, everybody knows. Everybody knows who he is. And at some point, they had to have served together during the Clone Wars.
Definitely, yeah.
You know what I mean? That bothers me a little bit because it's like, dog, who are you? Because he's old too.
From like you've been around for a good period.
What if
of
he's
time.
in the Clone Wars at any point?
But I feel like by this time now, if he was, somebody would have picked up on that and have, say, oh, this dude was actually back in season 3, episode whatever. I'm sure by now somebody would have picked up on that.
Nah.
This dude was protecting the younglings and failed.
Or something.
A lot of people failed in that.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Hey, once she took the cloak off, I said, oh, all right. He said, okay, you getting undressed? I'm getting undressed. It's about to be a thing. And there's a part of me that felt like for both of them, it's been like, man, it's been so long.
About to cut loose.
I got the, you know what I'm saying? I got a chance to do what I do.
Mm-hmm. And I got a foe to do it with.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I have somebody to like
that I can really let loose and I go at it with.
Maybe a little, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I'm about to. I still feel like they wasn't really doing it. I just again something about Jedi, bro. They have too many powers. They bother me. They're so Superman.
I was about to say that.
Cause I would have force yanked that dude off the side of that cliff immediately. We're not fighting. We're not dueling. I'm force grabbing the map out of the thing off the break. I'm not slow walking around the side of the rocks to see who's here or whatever. I can see the map. Force yanking that joint. Period. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you gonna step out in front of the joint, but you on by the cliff? I'm gonna force shove you. I'm not force pushing you. You going over the side of the joint, dog. I got things to do. You know what I'm saying? Throwing not getting here. And that stuff is the stuff about, bro, listen, it's a cool fight, sort of. It's a cool fight, sort of. Because in this fight, she's very Yoda to Darth Sidious. All the moving and, you know what I'm saying, all the moves she has and whatever. And he's just like, being like,
dog, this could have been
he's very Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan.
Yeah. This could have been an easy type of prequel fight that we could have seen that we haven't seen in a very long time. But it's like, I feel like the art of taking the time, I don't know, and learning everything needed to do, I don't know. To me, that could have been, if it hadn't been anywhere else in the show, that was the moment that they probably could have let it loose. But I guess there's one more opportunity that we could see that potentially go down like that.
It's just one of them things where I always have to wonder why Jedi don't use their Force abilities more often in battle. And maybe part of that is me as a gamer coming from like the Force Unleashed and knowing like, yeah, sometimes it's cool to run up and like slice somebody, but for the most part, as soon as I get the chance to pick up 3 people, I pick them up and I'm chucking them off the side. I'm not fighting y'all. Y'all ain't worth my time. But even if I am, like, again, in a game, you would try to like force throw somebody or whatever, and they would have some resistance to it. Yeah. That's cool. But give me that.
You at least tried. Like, yeah.
Yeah, give me that. Because it's one thing to feel like, if there was a history between the two of them where it was like, nah, we getting ready to fight. I want to slice you open.
Like we had a duel like long ago that never ended or something like that. They got it disrupted. No, we're gonna finish this now right here. Yeah.
But like, we don't have no history. You trying to do something I don't want you to do.
And I need that map by any means necessary right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
again, even like her grabbing the map, which again, I can understand if she had tried to force grab it and it didn't work. And she was like, I'm gonna have to go visit. Because again, it is the Force that is being used, and it is the dark side of the Force is being used to levitate the map and to give us the directions. I get that. So if she'd have tried to grab it and it didn't work, cool. Right? I got to go over there and put my hands on it, clearly, right? I got to go over there and try to kick this joint out of its position or something. It is a Force fire. I'm with it. But I'm not fighting you. I'm going to chuck you. You're going to make me fight. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is going to be about me getting to this map. It's not going to be about me fighting you. Your little words about Anakin, you're not getting under my skin. You don't really know me. I'm not really worried about you. I got to get to this map, right? Mm-hmm. Which does rear its head at some point in the fight. It's a cool fight, though, I guess.
Yeah. You see more of that, which we were just talking about the in like the latter half of the fight, where she starts focusing on trying to reach it and grab it and pull it out. And he's blocking her, or whatever. And they come around the podium trying to grab it. Like, okay, you're focusing on that instead of him now. Good, let's get that thing and get out of here or destroy it or whatever you got to do. But we got to get that map now.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fight. I guess you kind of waited to see, and hopefully it's a precursor to them having an actual battle later on.
Mm-hmm.
That there'll be a comeuppance for, you know what I'm saying, or something at some point. But the anger that Ahsoka has when Shin shows up ahead of Sabine, that little quick snap that clearly threw her off. She's at this point fighting one-handed because she grabbed the map. She was able to successfully do that. And in that moment, when she force slammed Shorty into a
I was like, that's what I need right now. This
cracker muffin.
This is what's gonna get this mission accomplished right now.
I mean, I'll be honest, I thought she killed her.
Oh,
that would have been incredible for me. That would have been incredible for me.
Knocked her smooth out.
But again, why didn't we just throw that moment right there? I was like, why didn't we just throw him off the side of this joint in the beginning?
That was the excuse. That could have been the excuse right there. Just grab dude and chuck him.
Why are we fighting this fight? I don't understand.
Your Padawan
like, that's the thing.
Just killed my
that's
Padawan.
The thing. Also, you are Ahsoka, the two-blade Tano.
Why are you out here fighting with one blade?
Why don't you have this other blade out?
I didn't understand that. Like when she came up first and they started the dueling thing, I was just like, okay, this is just her. They had their talk or whatever, and this is like the quick warm up. And I was like, okay, maybe like a few seconds in, she's just gonna go grab that second blade and just start going for it.
Only excuse I can think is she needed the other hand to grab the map. And that's why.
That's
gonna easily put
right.
the other zone
Listen,
up.
You're right, sir. You're right, sir. She needed the other hand to grab the map. It is, in fact, plot armor. That's why it's corny. The only reason why she's not fighting with both blades in this fight is because they needed to have her grab the map and hurt her hand. That is the only reason. But they could have started with a fight and she could have got disarmed by one of them. Like he could have knocked one out of her, or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it just, again, I'm picky about my fights because here's the thing. People have heard me say that time and time again on episodes of Weekly, on whatever. I'm not picky about my fights necessarily. I'm not picky about them specifically because I just need them to be good and the fight choreography has to be good. What you have to understand is that the fight choreography tells a story. It has to be a part of the story. So like all of the suspension of disbelief that has to exist for any of these things to happen, to me, it's no different than watching Rocky have a boxing match in his movie, and it's like all of a sudden you just throwing body blows that are just really, really damaging all of a sudden. Like Slim just can't take body blows all of a sudden would be like, where is the story arc in the fight? That's what makes, that is what you have to understand, Sin, is that that's why you love One Piece. That's why you love Dragon Ball, because the fights are a part of the story. They elevate and they tell a story. So like where a character gets the development of a new skill, of a thing they couldn't do before that they learn in the midst of that, that Hajime no Ippo, that going from where you were to where you are, that storytelling has to exist in your fights too. You can't just have a fight for the sake of having a fight. And at this point, what this is for me is a fight for the sake of having a fight. Because why wouldn't you use all of the objects you have at your disposal when the fate of the world is at hand?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You can't have a conversation with Sabine in the beginning of this episode and say, we got to do what's necessary to get things done.
And then you don't do it when you're standing at the end of the road right there, and you don't do those exact words.
You clearly have the ability to pick up a Force user and chuck them to the side. Why didn't you start the fight that way? Why didn't you attempt to use that to get the map in the first place? All of those things, right? If you could do that, why didn't you do that when Sabine said, I got this? Yes, I got you. We got this. Point, chuck her into
right to a tree.
With the map. You understand what I'm saying? Why didn't you force grab Shorty's saber out of her hand while Sabine was fighting her? All of that kind of stuff. That stuff, it is choreography, but fight choreography is also a part of storytelling. It can't just be, let's bring somebody in who knows how to use swords and blades and has some, martial arts skill or whatever, and can show somebody how to make the fight look good. It is the cinematography. It is the angles they use. It is the actual maneuvers they choose. But all of that still has to be a part of the story.
Right.
And when I see characters in a fight that have abilities that just don't use them, that just are like, well, if I use it, there wouldn't be a fight. You know what I'm saying? If I use it, there's no, then it's just there for the sake of it being there. And that is always disappointing to me, even if I enjoyed the fight, right? Because I enjoyed, for the most part, what I did see between them. But there are definitely moments of it that I'm just like, that's so dumb.
Yeah, they could have easily had her other lightsaber get damaged before she got there, and now that's why she only has one written into the story. It makes sense when you get there. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, it's ways it can be written for it to all make sense. Like just little things you can do just to, tell a story, like you're saying, and do it properly.
It seems, it's not the first time. Again, she has multiple times through this series used a single blade instead of two. But it's always been cooler when she used two. You know what I mean?
Because that's what she's always done.
And it's kind of like, if you have to, if you learned to use two as a Jedi, that is to your advantage. Right? Why wouldn't you
just start with what your advantage is?
Yeah. If you can force push a person, why wouldn't you? You know what I'm saying?
We're on the cliff. Like, it's space and opportunity.
Right side of the cliff, though.
I would have done it while we were pacing around having that conversation. I'd have done it in mid-sentence.
You know what? He should be well versed.
Exactly.
He should be well versed, so we can end up having this force duel in the beginning or whatever. Just trying to throw. And you know what? All right, we need to throw the lightsabers in the mix. Let's go ahead and start fighting. It can be done. Anakin and Obi-Wan definitely had that fight out using their abilities and the lightsabers at the same time.
Could have forced pulled Slim into that second saber.
Could have pulled his
definitely
face
a move.
Exactly, Joe. Exactly, just like that. Clip that.
Hurt by it.
So again, like plot armor, right? We have to move the story along, and so we basically need to decapitate their abilities in order to move the story along, and that always just feels disingenuous to me. But moving beyond that, we're at this point now. So we have force slung this youngin' into the wall. We are injured in one hand. We are fighting with our other hand, which is like, also, bruh, like, look, I'm gonna give you, like, I get it. You're a Jedi. You're in pain because you grabbed it. You burned your hand. That's cool. But you sin. Ahsoka Ahsoka Tano is the double-bladed Jedi. You are not going to fool me into thinking that this person who now has an injured hand is no longer able to fight single-handed with a single blade when she always uses that one hand with a blade.
Facts. Facts. It's
90% of the time, every other time we see Ahsoka Tano fight, that injured hand is holding another blade. She is used to fighting people having a single blade. I could use a little more, y'all. I just could. It's not, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe a dark force burn hurts to all hell. Look.
And listen, and you might be right, Sam. Somehow we had to get where we ended up.
Right.
And to be honest, nobody knows how we got where we ended up.
But we're here. So.
However, she shows up. She got the map. It's in her hand. She got the Mandalorian pistol to justice ready to, you know what I'm saying? I shoot this map. Maybe you don't shoot that man in his face. I shoot this map.
Look, as soon as she started doing all that, I was like,
oh, yeah, I did the same.
She's giving up the map. Like,
she's holding the map hostage. Like, why do you need to hold the map hostage? Like,
blast it.
Blast it, dog. Throw it in the ocean.
Yeah, this wide body of water. The pressure of the
only reason why I'm not saying throw it in the ocean because he could have force grabbed it out the air or something like that.
Maybe.
Yeah, but look, if he's busy force grabbing it out the air,
then Ahsoka can come up and just run the joint through and we're done.
It is in your.
Ahsoka said, "Shoot it."
It is in your hand. Shoot the thing. Just shoot it.
I'll be real with you.
She was so shocked. Sabine, oh my God, you're alive. You survived. Like, oh my God. But then she also had that realization of like, I let my anger get the best of me. Right? Oh. It's not like you killed Young, you just knocked her out. But again, as far as I thought Shorty was dead, I'm gonna be honest. I thought she was dead. I was like, ooh.
I was hoping she was at least leaking when she got out.
It was a nice, it was like, it seemed like there was a nice crush in the jump, and then a little song, and just get thrown. I was like, at least arm broke.
Ahsoka Vader. I thought she was going. The joint called Fallen Jedi.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Because like Sabine ain't no Jedi, so she can't be the Fallen Jedi.
And honestly, I thought it was going to be Balin because it was
he is a Fallen Jedi in some manner, right?
Right. Because when the fight started, there was no music. So you know how you set that tone? I was like, oh, there's no music. Somebody going down right here. But then the music
gotta die.
But then the music eventually kicked in. I'm just like, okay, now we're just going back to a normal fight. Like
shout out to the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, fire.
Because that John was telling.
Yeah. I'm good.
Shout out to the music. Connor's doing his thing in this joint. Okay. Ahsoka goes off the side of the cliff.
Yeet.
Sabine is alone. My man not even threatened.
Nope.
Let me put this blade away.
She starts shooting. He gets a couple the normal blocks left, right, up, down, and then once he realizes
straight up. Straight up. Right. She's like, yeah, I'll shoot it. No, you won't.
No, you won't.
You know that your friend Ezra Bridger. Only way to get to him, you believe the same thing I believe. We want the same thing.
He started spinning this Sabine. I was like, oh, he got her.
Oh, he had her wrapped.
He got her.
Had her wrapped around his finger like it was nothing.
Here's the thing. It would have been so sweet if Shin was dead. And now Sabine she's riding that line of being the new apprentice.
Yeah.
To him would have been so dope. When that youngin got up, I was like, come on.
I know. As soon as Sabine hit I was like,
Ahsoka was angry and she didn't even throw her into the rock that hard. She wasn't even knocked out that long. She got up like it didn't even hurt. Like she didn't get up and was like, like none of that. She just got up and was like, this little youngin tried to force push her.
Jumped the shit out of her.
Should have.
Yeah. She did get up though and go directly to some dark side that we don't normally see, and she straight force choked her, like put the force crush on her. All right, that's feeling a little fallen. So what I do like about that is that now there is the possibility of this odd rivalry between Sabine. You know, Sith Lords have that tendency. There's only ever supposed to be a master and apprentice, right? There's always supposed to be 2. But that's never been true. There's always been 3 or 4. There's always been somebody sitting in the background. That whole thing is stupid. And that's one of the worst things about the
they're always eyeing somebody else to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take you on and we gonna kill my master. And it
again, now in terms of the fact that there like are no Sith, but he's not a Jedi, but now he is in this position of almost having 2 apprentices, especially one that he has stolen from the golden child's golden child.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that lineage of Yoda to Qui-Gon, Qui-Gon to Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan to Anakin, right? And Anakin was supposed to be the golden child, right? Anakin to Ahsoka. That means Ahsoka to Sabine, right? Anakin Skywalker spoke very highly of you, right? Okay. I'm about to take your apprentice. Darth Sidious, heard you was the golden one. About to take you. You know what I mean? Like it's in that vein of things. So having Shin and Sabine next to each other with Balin on the ship, it's kind of like
that'll be interesting next episode. Yeah, to see how that relationship develops.
But on a quick note, shout out to Hera, who I told y'all the last time we talked was not just gonna sit idly by and allow them to tell her where, because her's a rebel, and she said it. Once a rebel, always a rebel. So there's only one question that remains as far as that's concerned, and it's where is Zeb? Because the last time we saw Zeb with the same dude that was just flying with Hera.
Yeah.
So that's like, easy call away.
Yeah.
You finna break protocol? He can't be that far away.
I'm gonna say he's doing something else, but he's gonna show up before the end of the show. I think Zeb will show up. Yeah,
he has to, because there's a good chance at the end of this season they're like Rebels season 6, animated coming. You know what I'm saying, or something, which would be like okay. Shout out to her, just like putting her son on a ship and being like, "We're going to war." Yeah, you going with me, though? Just put Slim on the joint, like, and him being the one who gets to say the patented Star Wars line of, "I got a bad feeling."
The moment Hera heard that, it was just
she looked like
real. Oh, you do?
And hold on, everybody just triple check everything right now.
That child actor knows what kind of legacy they just allowed him. Han Solo said that.
Right.
C-3PO said that though. Like, you don't just get to say, "I got a bad feeling about this."
And for a second, I was like, "Oh, Gage is right. She's about to die." And I was like, "Nah,
hey,
she got her son with her." I was like, "Nah, they're not gonna kill. They're not gonna kill the boy. They're not gonna kill him."
It had the hyperspace rig not have been in the giant circle. That's the first thing that came to mind when they was like, "Ignore them, go to hyperspeed." I was thinking back to was that Rise of Skywalker, where what's her name rammed the ship into the Star Destroyer,
and then everything got quiet, and then it had that loud pop.
That was the first thing that came to mind, and I was like, "Oh shit, Hera about to die right, like all of them about to die right now." That was the first thing that came to mind.
It would have been perfect.
And that joint took off, and when everything started going to hell and X-Wings were crashing into each other, I was like,
okay, she's gonna survive this because you got your son with you. But if he wasn't there, y'all would have got that movie treatment.
If he wasn't there, Oh no, he could have been. Hey, that'd have been a Seth. That'd have been his origin story into the dark side. Had Hera ate it during that time, so they steered away from it there.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a possibility that he is much more likely to be the person that Ahsoka is supposed to train than Sabine. He is the son of a Jedi. He is always wanted to be a Jedi. Him having a bad feeling probably means that, you know, he probably has some Force sensitivity. And like I said, I just don't feel like Sabine is meant to be a Jedi. I just think it's different. You know what I mean? So I could certainly see that being the direction we're in at the end of this series, where now we're in a place where she needs to train him. And her need to train him, to me, there's a high possibility she needs to do it because there's no Hera. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Ahsoka is over the cliff. Sabine is on the enemy ship in handcuffs. Shin is real mad. We even have this youngin' with us.
Fire.
But my man said, I gave her my word, she would not be harmed. Which again, I can appreciate. There is that lineage of Jedi and giving your word, keeping your word, whatever. But he is clearly after something that, you know, it would appear to me that he's after where Ahsoka ends up. Access to the world between worlds. Because when he says he's trying to solidify their future, that is when Ahsoka's like, got it, let me take this off. I know what you after. She knows what that is. He don't know what it, like, he hasn't been there. She's been there before. So to me, he's after that space. And we cut to her waking up in what is clearly the world between worlds. Which, again, like, if you're a person who's watching this show,
if you hadn't seen
and you
Rebels,
haven't seen Rebels,
you have no idea what that is.
You just lost. But the world between worlds looks very different. I mean, you can tell what it is, but it doesn't look like it did. And they could have easily made it look like it did in the show, in Rebels, where it was like very straight, clean, white lines. You know, this is more like flowy and blue, and it looks kind of like water, which again, she did fall into the ocean. But the world between worlds, as I understand it, is more specific to the person who's there, because it's the world between world is like a bridge, a nexus of all time, if you will. If you've been watching Marvel related stuff, right? So in Rebels, in the world between worlds, Ezra used the world between worlds to pull Ahsoka out of the fight she was having with Vader and basically save her. But she had to go back into that same place in time because they can't use it to change history. She couldn't go somewhere else. Everything else would be thrown off. He was able to see, like Kanan, as he walked through, he was seeing things that happened that were related to people that he knew. Voices that he could hear, it was related to people that he was aware of and he knew. There's other stuff going on. They don't mean anything to him. He was able to see Kanan die, basically. But he couldn't save him. If he was to go in and pull him and save him, then everybody else would have died, because Kanan died saving everybody else. Right. So if you go in and you save Kanan,
playing around with affecting the timeline, you can't do that.
Stuff. So those were things that were effective to him because these were people that he knew. And again, he was effectively able to save her, but he had to put her back there. We don't know technically how that turned out. We don't see the completion of that battle. We know he saved her in that moment, but she has to go back in that moment and fight. And clearly, she survived it. Now, how it ended, we don't know. Maybe we're going to see that. Because, hey, Snips is some straight up Clone Wars reference.
Mm-hmm.
And she turns around and sees young Anakin.
Yep.
All right. Saying, what does this mean?
We're about to go into some history, I think, next episode with her. Stuff like we mentioned earlier, stuff we haven't seen. He'll question about probably decisions she made in the past with Sabine and stuff like that, and why things have shaped to be the way they are now, and have her come to some type of realization, and she'll come out of it and have a new look at things, and proceed to try to figure out how to get to where they are to stop Thrawn. So I think that's what this next episode is going to be.
Jokes?
I feel like Anakin is gonna do kind of what Sin said, just having the discussion, but I feel like he's gonna give her like not necessarily an ultimatum, but it's gonna be one of those Jedi type of things like, listen, you're gonna have to make a decision soon that is like, I don't want to say detrimental, but this is going to steer the direction of certain things. And maybe necessarily the decision isn't a good bad type of thing. It could be a good, but obviously you get the one good thing, but you don't get the other good thing that could be a plus on it for it. So I think they'll have that little bit of history, and maybe they'll, because they haven't really had, there's been no discussion other than the fights that they had in Rebels, but to maybe understand where things went wrong and try to melt things up. But I think he's going to be there to just give that guidance, and it's going to be very vague, as a Jedi would, but it's just going to be, listen, this choice is going to come up, and you're going to have to make it. And I feel like almost maybe it's between Sabine and Shin, kind of how like Byron has both of them now as being like the new potential Padawan, and they're going to have to fight with each other. But maybe you're going to have to help guide her as well too, to not go down the path of like fully to the dark side. I don't know. I feel like whatever it is, it's going to be vague. You're going to have to interpret it the way that
she's going to die. But
oh no, I don't think she's going to die. Like I think it just could be that you have to provide assistance in both directions, or we get to a rehashing of what's happened in the past.
Sin is for all intents and purposes in this moment, is Ahsoka dead? How does she end up here?
It's tricky when it comes to Star Wars and things like that. I think she's dead and not dead at the same time. Since she's in this space, they'll line up somewhere like that. I don't think she's dead by any means. We have too many episodes left for her to be dead, and the show's named after her, so obviously not. But I think that's where they're teetering. Like, she's on the brink of death, probably almost, but not dead just yet. And we'll spend the episode with her being slowly drowning in the water while she's in there talking to Anakin and dealing with all that kind of stuff. At the end, pops up, gets to the surface, and somehow radios for help, or makes it back to a ship, and But
there's a part of me that feels like she could walk past a portal and see Ezra in that last moment where he was like withdrawn on the ship, getting ready to take off. You know what I mean? And could pull him from that moment.
But we don't know.
Put him back in that moment because she has to.
Because we don't know if he kept him out.
I mean, that's what he did for her. It would kind of be full circle.
Yeah.
That he went there, saw her, was able to pull her from the battle with Vader. It's also possible that she has saved him already. That in that battle that he's in a fight with Thrawn. When they take off, he's in a fight with Thrawn, and he could be on the brink of losing that. She actually returned the favor that he's already done for her, pulled him out, and put him back in where he was. And now she has a different understanding of how things are and how things were supposed to be. And that she had to put him back where he is so that things can get to where they are now, right? And I think
it shows like she has that more of a
of her place and importance of being a Jedi, and that maybe she does have to focus, or maybe she will have to train Jason. You know, it's a possibility, but we'll see. We'll see when episode 5 kicks off. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, you know, like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Give us some likes if you're listening on audio. You know, we'd appreciate it if you give us a dope rating. That helps us a lot. For myself, Gage, for Jokes, for Sin, this has been your Spoiler Boys for episode 4 of Ahsoka, Fallen Jedi. We are out. Tools and lose.
Loading snacks.